What's up, guys? Jeremy Conn here. It is the Lowdown, brought to you by Pickdawgz.com. Got a lot to go over, some important stuff to kind of talk about. But first, make sure you click the like and notification buttons, or like and subscribe buttons. Those help me out. It helps the whole our whole YouTube channel out. And on top of that, make sure you click the notification button. That'll let you know the next time something's posted. And I've been telling people if you do that, I can't say when I'm going to be back after my surgery on Monday, so I think my last one might be Tuesday. I'm hoping for 2 weeks. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll heal faster than most people do, but we'll see. As soon as I can talk, I'll be doing podcast again, but I appreciate you guys and all the kind words. I'm not out there fishing for compliments or anything, but I do think it's interesting. I had a couple of weird plays. As I said, Cincinnati over on Thursday, where we had the snowman in the top of the eighth and then the snowman in the bottom of the eighth. I've never seen that before in my life. 16 runs scored in the eighth inning to send it to extra innings, as it was 3-3 going in. So I had the over there. Had an LED like Cruz over 1.5 bases. I had him hit a home run, so had a nice game there. I lost. I had the Rays early on, and then I had the under in the WNBA game with the Valkyrie. Very happy that they only scored 6 points, the Valkyrie did, in the fourth quarter. And just to make sure that the Mystics were there making sure they were okay, is they scored 12 in the fourth quarter. So that'll definitely help an underplay. Definitely kill an overplay if anybody had that. So a couple of things to point out today. So I want to go back to yesterday's pod when I talked about the Mets. I gave out the Orioles under. I gave out the Mets under. I even posted about it, and I had somebody ask me on the morning show when I filled in, or I guess I go on the morning show every Monday and Fridays now, but I'll be off for a couple weeks. So somebody pointed out, you said you like the Mets under. And I went back and talked about all those things. And when I woke up in the morning, as I always do, you guys can check it, I post what my weather algorithm results are, whether I'm on those plays, whether they're premium plays. I obviously don't tell you that, but everything gets posted where I feel like there is an edge, even if it's a slight one. And there were a couple of really good plays on Friday. If you guys were curious about that, I had the Cubs under, as I talked about, with the Orioles going there and the wind blowing in. I had the Philly under, which my algorithm just loved. It was probably a favorite play on there. And I also had the over in the Dodgers game against the Rays. I thought it was a pretty good spot. But the weather algorithm loved the Mets over in the morning. And when I saw the money coming in at 7.5 and it's not really moving, that's when I said on the morning show, I said, I didn't give it out as a play. I wouldn't tell people to necessarily bet it. But I felt like the over ended up being a good play just because of the ancillary stuff. I said I was just going to fade the public. There was just so much money coming in. I didn't bet it. But I even denoted that in yesterday's podcast about, the Mets over actually looks good from the hitter standpoint and what the weather was saying. So just something I wanted to bring up. We do have some interesting games today to talk about. Some pitchers coming back, a new location that they're playing. I'll give you the dimensions of that stadium. You can do with that what you will. But let's start it off. Let's go with the Dodgers and Rays. It's Blake Snell versus Drew Rasmussen. 7 to 8 miles an hour out, or that's where the wind's blowing. It's 99 degrees there, at least feels like it. It's going to be humid. Blake Snell coming back. Yes, he can get strikeouts. The one thing we know about Blake Snell is he puts guys on base. He walks a ton of guys. He's such a good strikeout pitcher that sometimes it doesn't matter. I've literally seen that cat walk the bases loaded and then strike out the next 3 guys, and nobody even gets to come home. Coming off the IL against his former team in a bandbox of a stadium, going up against Drew Rasmussen, who I think is really good, but I also like that Dodgers team in that stadium. I'm going to lean towards the over here. I thought from the outset, looking at it, that I was going to be all over the under, but the more and more I dove into the game, the weather's going to push me to the over. And the pitching matchup doesn't scare me off. Like if we had watched Snell kind of get back into it and he had, we could see him with his great stuff and knew he was going to go deep in the game, or deep in the game for him is 5 innings, then maybe it would be a different story. But I do think it's a perfect opportunity to attack these pitchers. Even Drew Rasmussen, who's really good, but so is this Dodgers lineup, I would lean towards the over there. Probably the next game I would say would be the best game of the day, in my opinion, and there's a lot of great games. But when you talk about pitching matchups, these are the ones you circle if you're a baseball fan and you look forward to. The Tigers are at the Phillies. It is 72 degrees, winds blowing in at about 4 miles an hour. No help there. I'm sorry, it's 77 degrees. Can't read my own handwriting. It's Tarek Skubal versus Zach Wheeler. In games like this, I mean, you can roll the dice and go with who you think the better pitcher is or the better team is in those moments, but I almost feel like it's a coin flip when these guys go at each other. In my opinion, the Phillies tried to bolster their bullpen a little bit, and I don't know if you feel like they did enough to do that, but I like some of the moves they made. And on the flip side, when you look at the Tigers, they added a bunch as well. Starting pitching, bullpen. I mean, I think it's a team that is really interesting, but Skubal's a guy that can dominate a game by himself. Not that you come in and expect it. So I'm going to tell you to take the under. I feel like it's very chalky to say that. I bet this is a 6.5 total, maybe even 6 if it gets down that low. I hope it is at that low because I'm definitely going to hammer the under in that spot. I don't mind even saying it right here. This is probably a game I'm going to be on later on in the day, but I'm giving it out as a lean. I like to see where the money's going. I like to check the weather algorithm, just make sure it updates before I give an official play. I mean, I almost always when I give out plays on here, I'm not going to go the opposite way. It's just when I talked about this Mets game, it was a little bit different and how I felt about it after all the research was done. But this looks like a really good underplay. Now, for the guys that want to bet overs in these spots, because I know a lot of guys, when they see a 6 out there, they just hammer the over because anything strange can happen. These guys aren't going to pitch the full game. Bullpen's going to come in. You could have anything like that, but I just think the under's such a solid play. I don't care if it's chalky. I think it's the right side. Let's go to the next game. A lean here for Twins and Guardians. 75 degrees. The temp is. The wind's blowing in at about 7 miles an hour. Not a huge help, but again, that's a bump to the pitchers. It's Tanner Bybee. So right now, with all that's going on with the Minnesota Twins and all the trades they made, this looks like one of those spots where it's going to be a bullpen game. I don't know if they're calling someone up from the minors. I'd have to see if Taj Bradley's ready to go. That's another possibility here as the Twins traded Griffin Jacks for him. But that being said, I'm going to lean towards the Guardians. One of the things I pointed out on the morning show, if you're looking at the Orioles and the Twins, their bullpens are shot. They both traded away a ton of pieces from there. And if you look at the Twins, they traded a ton of pieces away, like 38% of their roster. And it's weird to see that because you don't get a chance to replace that as quickly. You're grabbing guys from the minor leagues. Maybe you're kicking the tires on some guys that are still out there. Maybe somebody gets cut. I don't know. I don't know where you find all the arms to fill out your bullpen that you can trust. But if you're the Twins and the Orioles right now, you're not playing to win, so it doesn't matter who you throw out there. But us as gamblers have to make sure we pay attention to that stuff because – if you're betting a game thinking this is what's supposed to happen, and all of a sudden, Twins manager, Orioles manager goes, leave him out there. And then you watch a guy get rocked, and he's just got to eat it because that's what's going on. I really would be worried about this Twins bullpen and all the pieces they traded and their lineup on a daily basis. I mean, you're taking Carlos Correa out of there. Was it Willie Castro? I mean, there's a ton of names that have come out of that lineup. So I'm going to tell you here, I'm going to take Cleveland. And, I want to update. I want to see who's pitching, obviously, when I if you're going to pick a side. But when the Twins get on these streaks, when they're on the hot winning streaks, it's like, yeah, you want to ride it. But when they get on a losing streak, you want to ride that one as well. They've been so bad in some of these situations. So I'm going to lean towards taking Cleveland. Now, this is the game I really wanted to talk about. I didn't see, this is typically where I'll go, hey, we've got 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing here. There's nothing major that stands out in any of these games to say, hey, I should denote this and let you know, like, hey, 10 miles an hour out here at this game. That's not the case. There is some rain in the forecast across the board, so you'd have to check each game. A lot of games it looks like light rain. If it's hot and it's light rain, the humidity picks up. The ball tends to carry. I love those spots. Those are the ones I typically target. This game is interesting because they're playing it at Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee. It's Atlanta versus Cincinnati, so we got the Braves and the Reds. Spencer Strider versus Chase Burns. It's 75 degrees there. So here's what I want to tell you about the stadium, and you guys can do your own research, but I always like looking into these spots and finding, like when the Yankees and Red Sox played in London, it was a bandbox of a stadium. It was smaller than minor league stadiums. And if you remember, some of those scores were like 20-18. Same thing when they play in Mexico. That's Coors Field on crack. The air's thin up there as well, and the ball carries. So we saw... I don't know if you guys realize that when DraftKings first put out a line on that game, it was 8.5. And by the time the game closed, I think it closed at like 19.5 or 20.5. So it just shows you they, put out the wrong line on a stadium that just gives up so much. I don't know what to tell you about Bristol Motor Speedway because it's I mean, obviously the area is large, but I assume it gets really hot down there as well, especially on that infield there. But this is one where down the lines on the foul poles is about 330 feet. Dead center's 400. If you're going out to right, it's 375 at the deepest part. Out to left, it's 385. I don't think it's like a huge bandbox, but like if you're pulling some down the line, you could get some cheapy home runs in this ballpark. And both of these teams have power. Spencer Strider has not looked like the Spencer Strider that we had come to love. Old Calfzilla out there, like just mowing dudes down with his handlebar mustache. Wait, it's not a handlebar mustache, but whatever the hell that lip sweater thing is he puts on. That guy is ridiculously good, but he hasn't looked like the Spencer Strider we've seen. And I think Chase Burns is going to be a really good one. He's just not there quite yet, still capable of having the big inning. His numbers from the outset look pretty good, but both of these bullpens can be had. I know Cincinnati tried to bolster and get better, and they're a little bit better than I'm giving them credit for. But when you look at the Braves side of things, yuck. I mean, it's been dreadful. I'm going to tell you to take the over here. I think it's a really good play. I'm interested in watching this game, so my free play between Atlanta and Cincinnati would be the over, even with Spencer Strider and Chase Burns going. But it is a brand new place. They've never played there. And when I talk about my weather algorithm, I really can't give you anything on it because it uses data at each stadium, and there is no data in playing games at Bristol Motor Speedway. So I've said it before, guys. Make sure you're checking out all the premium plays over at Pickdawgz. A lot of great stuff going on over there. You can pair me up with some of the other cappers. You can pair them up. A lot of guys, you can even check it out, see who's hot, check the leaderboards, go to their private pages or whatever and look and see what people are selling. Read the write-ups and see if there's something that works for you. And if not, keep checking out the podcast. I try to give out as much info as I can. I try to be as fair as I can with putting stuff out there and also fair to the people that are purchasing plays. But there's some really good spots in baseball to target. And when I come back from my surgery, I mean, we're going to be right there getting ready for football season. As I said yesterday, even when I talked about the Lions game go under, I wasn't betting that game. It was only 3 baseball games and the 1 football game. There was a WNBA game, but it couldn't have talked about the line the day before and what it was going to be. So with that being said, this weekend's a perfect time to kind of get back at this. But when football starts and we get to that point, you're going to hear me breaking down those games. And I think it's going to be a better situation for like even that week. Even if you wanted to hear the Monday podcast or you want to go back and listen to these teams I talked about on Monday and their matchups, because that's my plan, is to break down the entire slate. All the football games in the NFL, do that on a daily basis with other plays that are going on. And then on top of that, taking a look at some college football games. I do everything, guys. Baseball, football, basketball, college on basketball and football. I don't bet much College World Series, the NHL. And then there's other stuff I get into, boxing and MMA, that I love to handicap. So you'll see me post plays on that. But I do appreciate you guys listening to this. Don't forget to click the notification button. Again, as soon as I'm available to come back, I will be here recording. But I appreciate everything, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.